a recent purchase off the marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. It's one of the bigger, I think it's their bigger saw. I got this Makita electric for a couple $100, just under 180. We'll call it 200 though, because I had to drive far to get it. And it's pretty beat, and automatically. There's one thing that I inherited. The other thing that I inherited, because I didn't ask if there's a charger with it, because I saw the batteries. I know how much these batteries are new. These are the 5.0 18-volt lithium batteries, which you really want for this saw. You can use the 4.0s or the 3.0s, but you want to go with the biggest battery possible. Longer life, better power. I mean, it's got power, but the chain is completely whooped. I did a test cut yesterday, and it seemed like the saw had good power, but the batteries were dead yesterday, like 5 minutes into using it. And so then there was my $200 investment. Marketplace, you're going to inherit somebody else's problems. So then I had to go and buy this. This is the best charger to have for these batteries. They have a single charger, which is cheaper than this, but they only sell the single charger with a battery, and they only sell it with a 4.0. So I'm looking at that and I go, well, what's the sense of that? I don't even need a 4.0 really. I can put everything on the 5.0s that's that size, that's an 18 volt. If I get drivers, if I get screwdrivers, I'd rather have too big of a battery. But with these batteries, you can run the circular saws, you can run the real heavy impact drivers for actually removing lug nuts on a car, which I want. So I'm planning to buy one of those. I'm planning to buy a smaller ratchet driver. So my whole thing was, this is an investment because I like Makita products. I'm not endorsing them in any way. I'm doing this on your guys' budget. So I'm showing you straight out of the off the paycheck. You know, I got rent to pay, bills to pay. This is extra money week. And I was like, well, I'm going to see if I can find a battery saw because it'd be cool to have one. And sure enough, there happened to be one. Hoping that this saw isn't burnt up. We're going to get into that, but immediately, there's $200. Immediately, I had to go spend another $150 just to charge the dang batteries. So already I'm into this deal, $350. And I still don't have a saw that's cutting well. I still don't have a carving saw. And I still don't have a saw that's completely mechanically perfect. So $350, you could have gone and bought a steel 170 with a carving kit on it, conversion, and you could be carving by now. So there's, on our budget, our kind of budget, people like you and me, and I still don't have spare batteries for this, so I may only get a couple hours out of this if these batteries are not completely toast. That's the other thing that we got to be concerned about, is what kind of shape the batteries are in. So this is the reality part of getting into carving, and everybody's so mystified by the battery saws. Everybody thinks it's what you need to be a carver. I think they're cool because it's a quiet. I love quiet saws. It's like having an electric, but you don't have all the cord following you around, and you don't have all the cords getting messed up. So, and tell you guys the truth, I've never spent an extensive amount of time carving with a battery saw, but I have used battery saws extensively in the line of tree work. So to me, it's kind of a cool thing. It was a little $300 investment. If I want to get extra batteries, they're $150 a piece, and you need 2 for this saw. So there, I'm into it already, $650. right? That's almost $1,000, and that's not even on a new saw. So that's something to consider. I was either going to go with a DeWalt or a Makita. The thing about the Steels and Huskies is they don't cross over with any other tools. If I buy this and I keep buying batteries for it, I can keep buying Makita tools for the rest of my life too. And you know, all battery powered, and they're all gonna they'll all work off the same battery. And that's the plan for me. So if you guys are really planning to invest and have a fully functioning shop, the same with DeWalt. If you bought a DeWalt battery powered chainsaw, the batteries 20 volts that come on those DeWalts power tons of Makita tools, or tons of DeWalt tools. So that's a consideration. Like if you go buy Ryobi, yeah, they all the same thing there. They have lots of Ryobi tools that the saw batteries will power, but Ryobi saws are kind of junk. They're not very good saws. You need a good saw to be a carving saw. And the Ryobi stuff, to tell you the truth, I've used a lot of that newer Ryobi battery stuff, and the batteries don't last long. The tools don't last long. They actually burn up, or they stink and they start killing the battery before the battery should be dying. It's not high quality stuff. So that's something to consider if you're going to make the investment. And like I said, I don't have any sponsors. I don't get any free stuff to endorse anybody's product. I'm doing it. I basically went and made this investment. I don't really need this saw. It was that I wanted to get a battery saw, and I wanted to make a video on it for you guys and go over stuff. You know, battery saws, it's a different characteristic. When I buy something, it's to have different characteristic, you know, a different feel to it, different capability. So to me, to have this, there's a lot of good to it, ultimately, because I want to update my garage too, to all Makita in the near future. So that's one plus. The other plus is the handling of the saw. I've always liked the way that the battery saws handle. They're real narrow, they're real light. It seems like they cut real precise. You can't cut fast with them. They're not real super powerful. My initial investment, I'm in at $350 now, and my next thing I got to get for this is the quarter pitch sprocket, so I'm getting better chain speed and better battery life out of it. So I'm up around $375 now, because by the time I get that sprocket ordered and pay shipping, it'll be here, you know, in a couple weeks or whatever. I might go buy a brand new carving bar for this and chain, or I might just put one of mine on that exists. If you don't have a carving bar and chain, there's about another $180 for a carving bar, chain, possibly for a sprocket. So let's go back down to $350, and let's round it right off. $200 for the conversion, because everything's going up, and you're going to want a spare carving chain. You're going to want to have spare chain. Always get a spare chain with your bars, cut to the same size as that bar. Unless you cut your own, always get spare chain. Keep that bar good and keep your sprocket good. If you bend that chain or whatever, you're out if you don't have a spare. So call it another $200. So now we're in at $550. That's what I'm curious about right now, is to see how long of life I get out of a set of used batteries on a beat up saw that I know nothing about. I know that the saw was run dull because this chain is completely beat. And I'm only sharpening it to show you guys and to show myself. And I want to use it just as it is, stock, for a while. I'm going to make more videos on this. The problem with having a battery-powered saw with a chain that's this beat, I mean, those teeth are completely round on the tips. I don't know if you see it or not. I can see it in the camera. They look like crap. So whoever had this thing just beat the snot out of it. So if we get back down to brass tacks with that, so if we get to examining a budget, right now I'm $350 in on this thing. I still don't know if it works real well, and I'm still sharpening it, and I'm still going through it. Ultimately, I want to get a lighter chain on this saw. Even if I still run the same size bar, you can get a 43 thousandths chain for this. That's 3/8 pitch. You don't need to go quarter pitch. You know, it's nicer if you do, because then at quarter pitch you can run that tiny little stuff, the real lightweight stuff. The steel makes. I call it bracelet chain, which, you know, on one of these saws, it's actually really cool stuff because it just cuts so straight and clean at that. So we're sharp. We have full charge on the batteries. So the convenience of this saw is I can do this and this. Put that sucker back on there so it doesn't fall off. All this will fit in a backpack. There's a huge benefit. That's a major benefit. So now we're ready to cut. Check the battery life on it. It gives me a battery life. The two little red lights. Tells me I'm at full 3 bars on both batteries. I'm good to go. It's on. It's off. It's got a safety brake on it. It won't go when the safety brake is engaged. That's good. Nice and quiet. I got it sharpened up. Got it full of oil. I did a few test cuts with it, and the bar is binding up. It could just be because the teeth on the chain are not the same angle. The angles are all off because it did kind of curve cut. Alright, well, what's going on now? It's not oiling. So we're getting a little bit of oil. The oiler, you can turn the oiler up here. You see the little arrow and the hole in there. And you only turn that screw as much as you have to. So I probably have to turn the oiler up. But for right now, we're just going to play with it. And you hear the saw does bog down a little bit, but I'm putting some muscle to it. It's cutting kind of dry. It is letting out a little bit of oil. I'm really liking this. I can see the addiction with the battery saws. It's not super powerful. It's actually got the same power as my MSE 180C electric saw about. It's about the same amount of power. It does cut more precise. It's a little bit heavier, so that weight is going to push the bar into the wood a little better. after making just a few cuts, I'm already down to 2 on each battery, which means these batteries are probably shot. So I'm gonna have to eventually get new batteries for it. This is dried white pine, so it's pretty soft wood. This being someone else's inherited problem, this being, you know, I inherited someone else's mess, I have to take it in and mess with it because it's already cutting slow. The chain's already kind of dulling up. It's a stock chain. I did not tune this chain in any way, shape, or form. But I mean, it cut good. Cut good so far. I mean, for a little wimpy battery saw, I think all battery saws are kind of wimpy in a way. We've had the Husqvarnas on job sites and I really like those, but then I tested the steels out. See where we're at here. Yeah, we're at one battery power already. We're gonna run it down. Nothing negative to say about the saw. And you know, it's beat. The saw itself is pretty beat, as I pointed out. So I've got about 20 minutes, or I've got about half an hour of runtime on it right now with worn out batteries, with beat batteries. So I have nothing negative to say about the saw. The saw itself is beat too. The bar's really hot, so it's not getting enough oil. The saw is warming up. That's probably why the battery is kind of pooping out on me. Could be a number of things. I'm thinking, given by the shape that this saw was in when I got it, I'm going to reach in here and see if I can turn the oiler up. Oh, oiler's alright. Turn it down and then back up. Alright, so oiler's cranked all the way up. We're on 1 bar battery. This bar and chain aren't that great of quality. I mean, the Makita bars, actually, I like the roller tip bars. They're decent, but they don't have a oiler hole in them, so they don't bypass very much oil. But there it is. There's your investment right now. If you went, say you went on Marketplace and you found one of these, luckily, and you got out there and then oh, I need a charger. Well, the great thing about the charger is, even with these beat batteries, that charger that I showed you will charge these batteries up within 45 minutes. The batteries are hot. You do want to let them cool before you charge them. Give them a little bit of a rest, because they'll charge up better if you give them a chance to cool down. Now, if I were to put a shorter bar, and the beauty of this is I have the corded version of that saw that I show in my other videos, which is running the same pitch chain, and it's all the same as far as the oiler port and everything goes. It all should fit up the same. Now I'm excited to get the conversion for this. See, there's plenty of oil flow. The other thing, this has petrol oil in it, so that could be contributing to some of the slow oiling. Petroleum oil, like bar and chain oil, he could have put thicker in. You guys know me, I use canola oil in all my carbon saws because it flows really well. It doesn't smoke, it doesn't gum up, it doesn't stain things black unless the chain is actually stopped oiling, or unless the saw is stopped oiling to the chain. Then you just need to adjust it. What I like about this quick release steel, this adjuster completely out, which is probably what I'll do here. Now if you take this stuff out, save everything, because at some point you might want to put it back. I'll put that right in the box with all my other important saw stuff, because that way I won't lose it if it's sitting in there. I'm getting plenty of oil flow. Just step outside and run it down to nothing, I guess, while we have it. Like I said, I think what's going on, I think these batteries are beat, because they normally last a lot longer than, you know, they're like DeWalt. The thing I like about DeWalt with their batteries last, like, hold power for a long time. Like I said, these batteries are pretty beat, so. Oh yeah. 43 thousandths on a shorter carving bar. Saw really likes it. We're probably going to kill the battery right now. Yep, there it is. There it is. A stock size bar. It's cutting better after I sharpened it, but it's got issues. It's not oiling super good. I mean, pound for pound, it's worth it to me. I'm gonna say that. You know, at some point, I'm gonna make the rest of the investment on it. They're really not. It's not your primary saw, and I would say I wouldn't even really use them for roughing out. This was just a test to see what we could get out of it. If it were a newer saw, newer batteries, I mean, I feel the power in it. It's about comparable. The power on this is about comparable to my Steel 180C, or even it's close to the power that this guy puts out. It's corded cousin or brother that you see. What is this one? The 4051A. It's close to that. I mean, you're still asking of a little battery. You're still asking a lot of a little battery powered machine. So, if you really look at it this way, it's really warm. Your chances of succeeding with one of these as your primary, are not going to be as good as your chances of succeeding with its corded counterpart. But what I like about this is I have no cord. I have no gas attached to it. I have only oil that I have to put in it. I still really like the corded electrics as far as going on, you know, going through a whole day with them. But there it is. I hope this helps, guys. I don't know if anyone else has done these comparisons, but I think it's kind of cool to do it and give it to you. So, peace out. Oh yeah, I don't know if I showed you the shop. This is the point we're at right now in the shop, and this is why I'm buying more saws, or you know, this is why I'm looking for another saw, a saw that gives me a different feel, you know, gives me a little bit more speed and a little bit more comfort. I'm probably going to end up throwing an 8-inch bar on that the next time and seeing how that works. So, all right, we'll see you next time.